Hello, I'm Jenna. My life was once a series of unfortunate, lonely, and challenging days until everything changed in a miraculous way I never dared to dream of. I've never known who my parents were. From a young age, I had no memories of them, and all I knew of family was my grandmother. She was the one who raised me. But perhaps she never truly loved or cared for me. I could always feel the distance between us. During the days I lived with her, I often sat alone in a corner of the room, gazing out the window, imagining a different life, a life filled with love, where I didn't have to feel so alone. Every time she scolded me with cold eyes, I knew I didn't belong there. When I was 8 years old, she took me to an orphanage. That day, she offered no explanation, only saying this would be my new home. I vividly remember sitting in the back seat of her old car, my heart filled with confusion and a faint glimmer of hope. I thought the orphanage might be my escape from her indifference, a place where I would find friends to share and understand me. But reality turned out to be nothing like I had hoped. When she left without turning back, I realized I had been truly abandoned. I was a scrawny little girl with perpetually messy hair because no one cared to help me groom it. A place where I would find friends to share and understand me. But reality turned out to be nothing like I had hoped. When she left without turning back, I realized I had been truly abandoned. They mocked me, calling me the tangled girl, and pushed me down whenever I tried to join their games. Once, an older child grabbed the only book I owned, a tattered old storybook my grandmother had left. Behind and tore its pages right in front of me. I could only stand there, tears streaming down my face. Day by day, I lived in fear and sadness, convinced there was no way out. I felt like I was drowning in an endless sea of sorrow, with no one to lean on, no helping hand to pull me out. The world around me was cold, devoid of warmth. And then, on a day I thought would be as dreadful as any other, she appeared.
"Leave her alone,"
Rose said, her voice firm and fearless. It was the first time anyone had stood up for me. I didn't know what Rose saw in me, but from that moment on, she became my protector. My first friend since I arrived at the orphanage. Rose didn't just shield me from bullies, she brought comfort into my cold, desolate days. We shared stories and dreams together. Rose talked about her desire to leave this place and find a better life, and I listened, feeling a spark of hope ignite in my heart for the first time. When we turned 13, we decided to put our plan into action. We carefully planned to escape on a night when the staff would be less vigilant. But that night, just as we were about to slip away, a small noise startled us. We were caught before we could make it out. The staff reprimanded and punished us, making us feel guilty and scared. Yet deep inside, my longing for freedom never faded. After that failed attempt, I knew I had to try again. I couldn't let our dreams vanish. On another night, I decided to escape once more, but this time, Rose didn't show up at the meeting point. I waited for what felt like an eternity, but she never came. I thought Rose had changed her mind, that she had given up on the dream we had built together. My heart ached as I thought of Rose. That night, I ran without stopping, through silent streets and vast fields. The cold and fear clung to me, but I kept going. Every step I took was a promise to myself that I would never return, that I would never let anyone control my life again. When I left the orphanage, I had no idea where I was headed. I had no family, no place to go. Amidst all the hardships, the image of Rose stayed with me. I wondered if she was okay. The nights spent wandering were cold and filled with uncertainty. I didn't know what lay ahead, but I refused to give up. One fateful evening, as I huddled beneath the awning of a closed shop, a kind woman approached me. Her gentle eyes held no judgment, only concern.
"Are you all right, sweetheart?"
she asked, her voice soft and soothing. I looked up at her, unsure if I could trust her, but something about her demeanor made me feel safe.
I have a warm meal and a place for you to stay if you'd like to come with me.
She introduced herself as Mrs. Carter, and that night, she took me into her home, a cozy little house that radiated warmth and kindness. There, I met her daughter, Lisa, a lively girl with an infectious smile. Lisa greeted me with enthusiasm, treating me as if we'd been friends forever. She showed me around the house, shared her favorite books, and invited me to play games with her. For the first time in what felt like forever, I experienced genuine kindness and companionship. Life with the Carters was everything I had wished for. But one day, my past came rushing back in a way I never expected. While helping Mrs. Carter at the community center, I spotted a face I hadn't seen in years. It was Rose. She looked different, older, but her bright eyes and the warmth in her smile were unmistakable. I called out her name, and when she turned, her expression mirrored my own mix of shock and joy. Over the next few weeks, Rose became a regular visitor to the Carters' home. However, it didn't take long for tensions to arise. Lisa and Rose couldn't seem to find common ground. Rose, who had once been my only ally, now seemed to feel out of place in the life I had built with the Carters. She began to resent Lisa, perceiving her as someone who had replaced her in my life. Meanwhile, Lisa grew frustrated with Rose's possessiveness and her attempts to monopolize my time.
Why does she always have to be around?
Lisa asked one night, her voice tinged with irritation.
You're my sister now, Jenna, not hers.
She was my friend before I even knew you, Lisa, I replied, feeling torn between the two most important people in my life. Their rivalry escalated, with each of them vying for my attention in subtle but painful ways.
Why can't you just let Jenna be happy? She's moved on from the past, but you keep dragging her back.
Rose's face fell, and she looked at me with tear-filled eyes.
Is that true, Jenna? Have you moved on?
I didn't know how to respond. My heart ached for both of them. I don't want to choose between you, I said softly. You're both important to me, in different ways. Lisa, though reluctant at first, eventually joined me in helping Rose heal. Together, we created an environment where Rose felt included and supported. It wasn't easy, but slowly, the animosity between Lisa and Rose began to dissolve. Years later, as I look back on those turbulent days, I'm grateful for the lessons they taught me. Rose remains an important part of my life, and so does Lisa. We've all grown and changed. Years passed, and life continued to evolve in ways I never anticipated. Rose, Lisa, and I each found our paths, but we remained connected by the shared history that shaped us. It wasn't always smooth, but time and effort brought understanding and forgiveness. Rose's decision to seek counseling proved to be a turning point in her life. Through therapy, she confronted the deep-seated pain of abandonment and the struggles of growing up in the orphanage. She began to realize that her actions stemmed not from malice, but from fear of losing the only. The applause that followed was thunderous, but what moved me most were the tears in Rose's and Lisa's eyes. In that moment, I knew we had come full circle. The applause that followed was thunderous, but what moved me most were the tears in Rose's and Lisa's eyes. In that moment, I knew we had come full circle. We were no longer bound by the pain of the past, but united by the shared journey that had brought us to this place. This is not just the story of the tangled girl. It's a story of love, forgiveness, and the extraordinary power of hope. And though this chapter has closed, the journey continues. After all, life is a story, and the best ones are always still unfolding.